The nightmares that are portals to hell. Everyone has had nightmares, but some people report experiences that go beyond the common fear of sleep. Dreams so intense and disturbing that they seem real, where a feeling of danger does not disappear when you wake up. And the worst, these nightmares come back night after night, with the same story, the same places, and the same entities. For some paranormal researchers, this is no coincidence. They believe that certain dreams are not only creations of the mind, but rather portals to something much darker places where reality and hell meet. But what makes a nightmare more than just a bad dream? How to distinguish a simple manifestation of the subconscious from a supernatural experience? That is what we will understand now. 1. Frequency and repetition. If a nightmare happens only once, it may be just a result of stress or imagination. But when it repeats itself countless times, with the same details and sensations, some theories suggest that this may indicate a connection to another dimension. Many people report dreaming of the same dark corridors, the same voices whispering incomprehensible things, and the same presences watching in the dark. There are cases of individuals who, when sleeping, are transported to places they have never visited in real-life ruined cities, abandoned houses, underground temples, and always feel that something is waiting for them there. These reports become even more frightening when different people dream of the same places and describe the same details, without ever having met. This suggests that there may be something beyond the traditional psychological explanation for these phenomena. 2. Shadowy figures and observing beings. Among the most disturbing reports are those involving shadowy figures. Many people who experience recurring nightmares talk about presences that not only appear in dreams, but seem aware of the existence of the dreamer. They are described as faceless humanoid shadows, bright eyes in the dark, or even hooded entities that whisper words in unknown languages. The most frightening detail? Many claim that these figures do not disappear when the nightmare ends. There are those who feel that they are being observed even after waking up, as if something has crossed a line between dream and reality. One of the best-known cases is a man with a hat, a dark figure that appears in the dreams of thousands of people around the world. Those who see him report feeling extreme paralysis, as if they were stuck between sleep and wakefulness, unable to move or scream. Some believe it is an interdimensional entity, using nightmares as a portal to interact with our world. But do these beings really exist? Or are they just manifestations of our subconscious, trying to warn us about something? 3. Dreams that leave marks on the body. What makes some nightmares even more disturbing is that, for certain people, the effects do not end when they wake up. There are reports of individuals waking up with scratches, bruises, or strange marks on the body without any logical explanation for having acquired them during sleep. These cases lead to hypothesis that some nightmares are not just projections of the mind, but real experiences lived in another dimension. According to this theory, the physical body can manifest traumas that occurred in the dream world, as if the barrier between the conscious and the unknown were broken. One of the most famous accounts is that of a woman who, for weeks, dreamed of being dragged by invisible hands into an endless corridor. Every time he woke up, he found red marks on his ankles, as if something had actually held his legs. No security cameras caught any strange movement in his room, and there was nothing around him that could have caused those injuries. Such cases raise a question. To what extent are nightmares only dreams? Or do some of us, when we sleep, actually cross over something much darker? For recurring places, ghost cities, and lost dimensions, one of the strangest phenomena reported by people who experience recurring nightmares is the existence of places they have never visited, but that appear with impressive details in their dreams time after time. The scariest? Different people, without any connection between them, describe the same places. There are documented cases of individuals dreaming of abandoned cities, ruined buildings, endless corridors, or underground tunnels where something seems to lurk in the darkness. Some of these places have become so recurrent that they are now known collectively, such as a city of yellow windows, a lifeless urban environment where all buildings have yellowish glass windows and a constant sense of being observed. Another famous case is a Hotel Infinito, a nightmare shared by many people around the world. In this dream, the individuals find themselves trapped in a huge hotel, full of corridors that never lead to the same place. Most reports describe an elevator that seems to work erratically, transporting dreamers to increasingly strange floors where doors lead to unknown dimensions and entities wait in the dark. Why do so many people dream of the same places? Are they creations of the collective subconscious, or indeed portals that our mind accesses during sleep? 5. Coded messages and warnings from the beyond. Some people who suffer from recurring nightmares report something even more disturbing. Enigmatic messages that seem to be sent by something or someone. These messages can come in the form of symbols, numbers, whispered phrases, or even voices that are repeated every night. There are records of individuals dreaming the same sequence of numbers for weeks, only to find out later that they were real coordinates, marking dates, or unknown codes. Others say they hear mysterious phrases, such as "don't go to the third floor, he already knows your name," or "don't answer the phone rings," always accompanied by a sense of urgency. One of the most famous accounts came from a man who, for months, dreamed of a red-eyed creature that repeated, "Do not enter the black door." One night, in his own dream, he saw himself before this door. Against all instinct, he decided to go in and never had the same dream again. However, after that, he began to suffer from intense sleep paralysis and started hearing whispers in his home even when awake. This raises a disturbing question. Are these dreams only projections of the unconscious, or attempts to communicate something that is beyond our comprehension? Would these entities warn us about something, or lure us to where they want? 6. Sleep paralysis and the sense of presence. One of the most terrifying experiences associated with nightmares is sleep paralysis. Many people who experience these episodes report that they not only feel immobilized upon waking, but also perceive a presence in the room, something dark, silent, and observant. There are those who see hooded figures standing next to the bed, shadows creeping through the ceiling, or whispers echoing inside their own mind. The most frightening detail? These presences seem aware of the person who is stuck between dream and reality, and often try to interact. One of the most famous accounts involves a woman who, every night, saw a tall and thin figure standing at the door of her room. At first, she thought it was just an effect of her state of paralysis, but over time, she realized that the entity was getting closer and closer, until one night, she felt something touch her arm. The next day, he woke up with a purple mark in the shape of a hand. Such cases raise the hypothesis that sleep paralysis is not only a cerebral phenomenon, but rather a state in which our mind is vulnerable to something external. Some paranormal researchers believe that, in this state, we are closer to hidden dimensions and that there are beings waiting for this gap to manifest. But what do these entities really want? Are they just watching us, or trying to cross into our world? 7. What happens when you die in a nightmare? There is an ancient belief that if someone dies in a dream, they also die in real life. Although science has no evidence for this, reports from people who have had near-death experiences in nightmares suggest that something really happens when we cross that line. Many describe dreams where they are pursued by something unknown, fall from impossible heights, or pulled into darkness by invisible hands. The most strange? Some report that at the time they were supposed to die, they wake up with shortness of breath, chest pain, or an intense feeling of displacement as if they've been pulled from a place where they should not be. There are also cases of people who have experienced death in dreams and, upon waking up, notice subtle changes in their reality. Small details like objects out of place, memories that no one else shares, or even the feeling that something is wrong. Some theories suggest that in these moments our consciousness may be crossing into a slightly different reality, as if the nightmare is a portal not to hell but to another version of our own world. If this is true, what happens to those who do not wake up in time? Nightmares have always been considered windows to the unknown, be it the darkest recesses of our mind or for something that goes beyond our comprehension. But what if, in some cases, they were not just manifestations of the subconscious? And if, while we sleep, are vulnerable to forces that try to reach us? Over the centuries, cultures around the world have narrated stories of people who dreamed of something they should not see, heard, voices that did not belong to this world, and woke up in places that did not seem to be the same, be through entities, observe in the darkness, impossible places that are repeated in different minds, or physical marks left after awakening. Nightmares may be much more than we imagine. Be that as it may, one thing is certain: no one is completely safe while sleeping. And the next time you wake up overwhelmed, feeling that something was there in your room, watching, maybe it's better not to look at the dark corner. After all, what if it is not your reality that you have awakened? If you ever had a nightmare that seemed more real than it should, share in the comments, leave your like, and send a friend who you remembered. Even more,